A quadratic formula is used to calculate the value of x in a quadratic equation, and if you have heard about it, or even if you haven't, then this is the formula for you. Now if you find it a little overwhelming, well, it is overwhelming, and here in this video we are going to discuss how we got the formula. Don't be overwhelmed by it. We'll go step by step and you'll understand in a very easy manner how the quadratic formula is really derived. So let's jump straight into the video. Hello people, my name is Vikas Sharma and I welcome you all on behalf of Exponent to Success to this wonderful video. Exponent to Success is an organization which is committed towards adding an exponent to your learning curve, and I'm sure you'll get that here. If you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, I suggest you should do it right now. You'll find the subscribe button just below the video that you see. As I said, there are several ways of solving quadratic equations, and one of them is by using the quadratic formula, which you can see on the screen right now. Now, like I said, it is a bit overwhelming, but if you understand how we really come to this formula, there'll be no doubt in your mind that how you'll never forget it actually. I always used to wonder, why do we use the quadratic formula? Why can't we just simply stick to factoring quadratic equations and get the value of x? But like I discussed in one of my previous videos, that it is not so simple. We can't really factorize some of the equations. It is not possible to factorize them, and then what we have to do is we have to use the completing the square method. Now completing the square method is fine and we can use that, but how do we complete the square? Is there a general formula how to get to completing the square? Well, if you didn't know, this is the formula that we use. This is by using the completing the square method that we get this formula. Now, so we'll just try and derive the formula, how to find the value of x. So what I'm going to do right now is just to select this equation here that we have, and I'm going to reduce the size and put it on the right hand top corner, so that whenever we need to refer to it, we can. So starting with the standard form of the quadratic equation, we know that the quadratic equation is ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. That's the standard form of the quadratic equation. And if you remember, I had told you the steps earlier also, but just in case you don't remember them right now, I'll write the steps here. The first step was to divide the equation by a. Now what we are really concerned with is the value of x by itself, and we don't want any coefficients of x square because that just makes the whole thing very difficult. What we are really concerned about is to find the value of x, and hence the first step that we do is to divide the whole equation by a. So when we are doing that, what we have to do is we have to divide the complete left hand side by a, and if we are doing that to the left hand side, we have to do the same to the right hand side, otherwise the equation will get imbalanced. So the first step would be, now since this whole left side is being divided by a, that means the whole of each term of the left hand side will have to be divided by 8. So if I just distribute it into this, this and this, what we get is ax square divided by a, we are left with only x square. B is again being divided by a, so we are left with b upon ax plus c upon a is equal to, and 0 upon a is obviously 0, so we'll just write that as 0. The second step was take c to the other side. To do that, what we have to do is we just have to subtract this term c over a from both sides of the equation. So when we do that, we are left with x square plus b upon ax, and obviously c upon a minus c upon a, that gets cancelled, and on the right side we get 0 minus c upon a, so we are just left with minus c upon a. And if you remember my previous video of completing the square, or where we saw the visual representation of completing the square, if you remember correctly, the third step was to add the square of b upon 2 to both sides. Now by b upon 2 I mean the term which is in the middle, which is the coefficient of x. So in this case what we have as the coefficient of x is b over a. So we are going to divide that by 2, which becomes b over 2a, and then add the square of b upon 2a to both sides of the equation. So let's see what the equation becomes now. So it becomes x square plus b over ax plus b over 2a whole squared, and since we are adding that to the left hand side, we have to do the same to the right hand side as well. So minus c upon a plus b upon 2a whole squared. And next we'll just simplify the equation, so we'll just square and see what it comes out to be. So it becomes x square plus b over ax plus the square of b is b square, and the square of 2a is 2a times 2a, so that 2 times 2 is 4, and a times a is 4a squared. So, and on the right hand side we get negative c over a plus b square over 4a square. So I'm running out of a little space here, so what I'll try to do is I'll just erase these things and move this thing to the top. The fourth step was to convert the left hand side, or I'll write that as LHS, into a complete square. Now we know the identity, the algebraic identity, a plus b whole square is equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square, and if we know that the term that we added was b over 2a, the square of that, so b over 2a, and if you see this is the double of that, and a was supposed to be 1, so that means we are just this is just fitting into it, and the perfect square of this would be x plus b over 2a whole square is equal to, and I'll simplify this as well. So if we have 4a square as the LCM of both the denominators, now 4a square divided by a gives me 4a, so I'm going to multiply c by 4a, so I get negative 4ac plus this remains the same, so that is b square. Or of course I can also write it as b square minus 4ac over 4a square. Now I think you must be looking on the right hand side, top right hand side, and seeing some similarity there. What we have to ultimately find out is the value of x. So take square root of both sides. So when we take the square root of the left hand side, we are just left with x plus b over 2a, and on the right hand side we have the square root of b square minus 4ac over the square root of 4a square, which ultimately the square root of 4 becomes 2, and the square root of a square becomes a, so upon 2a. Now to get the value of x, all we have to do is to get rid of this b over 2a, and what we do is we subtract this from both sides of the equation. Subtract b over 2a from both sides. So when we do that on the left, we are left with only x. On the right hand side, when we subtract that, so it becomes minus b over 2a, and b square minus 4ac, if we take the square root of that, what we can get is either a positive value or a negative value. That is because if we take the square root of 25, it can either be 5, because 5 square is 25, but also negative 5 square is also 25. So negative 5 into negative 5 is 25. So the square root of 25 is not only plus 5, but it is minus 5 as well. So that is why the square root of b square minus 4ac could be a positive value of that or could be a negative value of that, because the square of both will give you to this, will lead you to the same result, which is b square minus 4ac. And I'll just combine this term over this, so minus b upon 2a plus minus the square root of b square minus 4ac over 2a. Or if we simplify it further, what we come back is to take 2a, combine 2a with both the terms, so we are led back to the same equation here, which is x is equal to negative b plus minus the square root of b square minus 4ac over 2a. And that is when we started with the original quadratic equation, which is ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, and that's what we had started it off with. So that's it, guys. What we wanted was the derivation of the quadratic formula, and here we can see that we have derived the quadratic formula, and it is not so overwhelming as it sounds or as it looks like, because we have learned a step-by-step process of how to do that. So next time you need the value of x, all you have to do is just plug in the respective values of b, a, c, and of course b and a over here, and you get the value of x. Now just one last thing that I wanted to tell you, that this portion over here, the square root of b square minus 4ac, is called the discriminant. I'll talk more about the discriminant in my next video, and we'll also find out where is it not possible to find the value of, and we'll learn more about that in the next video. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, what you can do is you can just leave in the comment section below. Leave that question for me, and I'm sure I'll get back to answer the question for you. And if it is not possible to do that, I'll certainly make a video out of it and share it with you guys on the channel. So if you want to be notified about the next video, what you have to do is just click on the subscribe button shown here, and for your reference, there are some videos that I recommended to you on the left hand side. Please do watch those and tell me how they are, and give your comments about the video, and I'll be expecting to see you soon in the next video. God bless you.